I love you.
Welcome back, Couch Potatoes. I love y'all. So glad to have you here. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Welcome to Green and Faceless on the Couch, podcast about movies and television.
Oh,
Yeah.
snappy doodle. That's what we're doing today. We're doing a little bit of a TV talks.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a show that we watched back in December and had intended to talk, I think, much earlier, but it's kind of gone out of our heads. But I'm fortunate in that we're talking The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime, and I'm fortunate because I started reading the books, so a lot of it's still in my head because I know the characters and I've been reading the books while watching the show.
I think I remember enough to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I do wish we talked about it earlier for damn sure.
But before we do that, am I the batter stepping up to the box for a faceless
because
pitch?
Take me out to the living room. Take me out to my chair. Hand me the clicker, I'll turn on the tube. I don't care if I even eat food for it. It's the Faceless Pitch. And yes, I know the song is different every time. But here we are.
Nice.
I want to talk to you guys about The Witcher. I feel like a lot of people know about The Witcher, but it had a second season this year. And I do want to talk about it, maybe comparatively to the first season a little bit. So The Witcher, it's based off of novels, which also have games. I don't know which one comes first. I did just realize that Mads Mikkelsen's brother, Lars, is a character. He plays one of the mages, and a really evil one. But anyhow, it is a
Lars
medieval fantasy, kind of thing. And Geralt of Rivia is a witcher, which is a mutated human who are mutated specifically for the task to hunt down and kill monsters. In this story, he has what is called a child surprise in the world. So the lore is you can ask for the law of surprise as a reward for a good deed or for saving somebody's life. And if the person that you saved has something that they don't know that they have yet, then Destiny has decided it belongs to the person who claimed the law of surprise. So when he claimed the law of surprise, he did not know that this princess was pregnant with who will be Ciri. So the first season is a story about them finding each other. And it's told in a non-linear way that I think really works for like a limited series. But since they decided to do a second season, I don't know how strong it feels now. But I still really enjoyed what they did with the second season. So they stopped doing a linear storyline. They just keep it on track. Good. And in fact, they even make fun of it a little bit. So there's this bard character named Yazgir, played by Joey Beatty. And
is that the same one in the first season?
Yes. He comes in the later half, so you do have to, if you're a Yazgir fan, you have to wait a little bit. But anyways, there is a joke about one of his songs where this guy says, "You know that one song? I don't think it's your strongest," like he's critiquing him. And he says, "It took me to the third verse to realize that it was out of order." And I just started laughing. It was so good. So I really think that first season, that the way they told it was great. But I think it would have worked better if it was a standalone thing. Some of the characters that are fantastic I want to mention real quick is obviously Yennefer, played by Anya Chalotra. And I know I butchered that, but she's amazing. So she becomes a mage, starts out being this very deformed young woman whose stepfather, or whatever you want to call him, hates, and he sells her for pennies or something like that. It's pretty fucked up. But anyways, she becomes like the most powerful mage. And so the second season, Ciri and Geralt are finally together. Ciri played by Freya Allan, and Geralt by Superman, Henry Cavill. They go back to the headquarters of the Witchers to protect and train Ciri, but that's because Ciri wants to be able to protect herself. I really applaud them for the will that Ciri's character has. She's a very strong character. She's like, I don't want to be in those situations like I was in the first season where I can't do anything.
I'm glad they improved her character. I haven't watched the second season, but hearing you say that makes me happy because I tried rewatching, because we were originally going to do this as a TV talk. So we were going to talk season 2, but I just couldn't get back into it. The linear story, as much as I loved it the first time around, was really hard for me to get back into. And one of the other big things was, while Yennefer is an amazing, strong character, and Geralt is awesome, as fucking always, because Henry Cavill is just...
Right.
I'll talk him later. But Ciri was one of the problems that really bothered me, because they don't do anything with her character except she just runs the fuck away constantly.
Right. They do... So, Ciri also... There's something special about Ciri, beyond her being the child surprise and a princess. she has some kind of mystical powers surrounding her that are kind of different than everything else in the world. So like Witcher magic and mage magic is different, and I think that's because you have to have the mutagens to do the Witcher magic. I'm not sure. I haven't read the books, and I'm sure there's more detail in the books. And I tried to play the game, and that game is so fucking hard. The third one, anyways. I didn't even know about the first two when they came out. So, in this new season, there are these monoliths around the continent that are breaking. It's doing weird things to the already weird monsters. So, they're trying to figure that out, and that's kind of a very, very loose interpretation of the plot of season 2. They also do a lot with the racism between the humans and the elves. A lot.
Oh, good.
Yeah. You know, I think there might be a little bit, I don't know how to say this. So it's kind of weird to see the stereotypical oppressor and oppressee scenes when it comes to race, and then the person lying on the ground getting the shit kicked out of them is a white guy. That kind of is a little bit weird. Now, they do colorblind casting across the board, I would say, except for, there's... For those 3 main characters, there's very iconic looks for them, so they had to go for that. For the secondary and other primary characters, I feel like they do a pretty good job at casting diversely. And I don't know, maybe I would be more upset if a white person was kicking on a black elf. I don't know. But there are all different colors of the rainbow in all the races, and I really appreciate the show for that, because it's a fantasy. Why do we have to be like, no, elves are pure white snow people, you can't mess with their divinity, or whatever the fuck. But anyhow, I had a lot of fun with the second season. I mean, it's fucking fantasy. I'm a sucker for it. I'm gonna watch the third season if and when it comes out, and it will, because I'm pretty sure it did successfully. But I heard that some of the hardcore fans were upset about some of the stuff that happened.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I was going to say. I'm happy that you enjoyed it, because I haven't seen good reviews. I've only seen... But again, I haven't sought out reviews either. I haven't looked up how that's doing. The only things that have popped up in my tunnel vision here have been like, oh, why Witcher fans are so pissed at season 2, or why Wheel of Time works as an adaptation, but Witcher does not. So, I just keep seeing those things. I didn't read the articles.
Because I think it's pretty great. Now, like I said, I didn't play through that game because I couldn't get very far in it. And I didn't read the books. So, there might be problems that I just don't know. But I rather enjoyed it. I think it is an interesting direction for the show to take. There's some crazy... weird shit going on with Ciri towards the end that I'm not going to spoil. They introduce Vesemir, who's another iconic character from the series. He's kind of like Geralt's Witcher dad. He's kind of the Witcher dad of all of them. And his name is Kim. Gross. The actor name is Kim Bodnia. And I thought they did a really good job of finding somebody who looked a lot like that character in the game. So I don't know if you ever tried to play the game, but in the very beginning where you're doing the tutorial, he's the guy that's training Geralt.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't remember him, but I did try. I think you loaned it to me, and I was just like, I got maybe 30 minutes into gameplay, and that was about it.
Yeah, I think I got maybe an hour, so.
Yeah. And it's like, that's on me, too, because like I could tell there's a great game here.
Oh, yeah.
When we lived with our good friend, Professor Ronvald the Skald, he played it a lot, and I just loved watching him play it. Like, that's kind of the kind of gamer I am, is I want to play games, but I'm more entertained by watching people play the game while I'm there.
I don't think he's gotten very far in the game either. I don't think he's ever finished it, because it is a hard game.
He definitely played it for quite a few hours, because I definitely zoned out and just watched him play for many nights, but not just that game. He played a lot of other games, but I did like what I saw. It definitely looked like a good game, but playing it, I was just not.
It's rough. Not rough in the way that it's poorly made. It's rough as in, you're fighting these monsters and they make it legitimately difficult. Like, you have to outsmart the monsters, and sometimes you're just in a situation where you can't do that anymore, and it's hard. But that's what I have to say about The Witcher.
Nice. Yeah, we had a friend, I don't think you were at the book club meeting for this one, but we had a friend who read one of the Witcher books, and I think she said that she liked it, but that it was very, very hard to get into at times because it was just really detailed or whatever.
It is a very detailed world, for sure.
And I'm not good at retaining information. I love listening to people talk, and I love listening to people, like especially friends, talk about what they love. But yeah, I don't remember precisely what her opinions on it were, but I don't remember them being glowing. I remembered it being more like our viewpoint on the game, where it's like, yes, it looks good. No, I did not get into it.
And I really don't think that is a critique on the game. I wish I could have played more of it. It just was too intensive of a game style for me.
Right. And I would love to, take a swing at season 2, but like I said, like I tried to watch it, and I tried to watch season 1 just to remember what was going on.
Because that's like the main reason why I think it would have worked better as a standalone thing. Because there was so much information, and then it was told in such a way that it's just gone. But I do think they do a pretty good job in that first episode, knowing that in the end of the previous season that they get together, Ciri and Geralt. I think you could jump off there and be okay. Like, they reference stuff enough. There's probably a few characters that you'd be like, oh, I don't remember that guy, but then they have their own part to tell in this new story.
Yeah, I might try that then, because I got like 2 or 3 episodes into this rewatching season 1, and they're long episodes. Yes. They're like hour long, like sometimes an hour and 10. Like they're
it's like watching an old school Disney movie, except for with blood.
Yeah, and there's just moments where I was just like, especially around the 3rd episode, where I'm like, I remember what happened, but like, fuck this. Like, it's going on too long. It's taken too long to get into the story. Like, the first time watching, it's fascinating.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's a lot of world building, and there is a story being told, but you're not quite sure how it's being wound. And so that's kind of pretty, or woven, I guess is a better word. But it was very fascinating, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not rewatchable, I don't think. At least the first season. So I might just jump off and
I might say
watch the second.
Yeah, I might agree with you on that, but once I did finish rewatching it, I'm glad I did. I enjoyed it. I still think it's a very well-told story. And I am glad that I got the extra information on these side characters from that first season before moving on. But for those of who think that Yennefer is gone at the end of the first season, she is in this new season, and they do some interesting things with her concerning her magical abilities. And yeah, it makes her a different character. So if you want to know what else happens to Yennefer, because honestly, she was the main draw for me in the first season.
Right.
I thought she was amazing.
She became it for me, at least.
Yes.
Yeah, the first two episodes, like, I don't like her character. I don't like what they're... I like what they're trying to set up.
Right.
But, like, her choices, her actions makes her a very easily hateable character.
Sure.
But like near the end of the season, I fucking loved her. She was like, she definitely became my favorite thing about it. But it was a long haul to get there.
Right. I just find, I mean, yes, she makes some awful choices in the beginning, but I just find her horribly interesting. It worked for me the whole time through. And it was definitely the parts that I was looking forward to when I rewatched it. Not to say that Henry Cavill didn't do an amazing job. He really puts on a voice for Geralt, though. And I'm not 100% sure I necessarily like that.
It's very close to the game's voice, isn't it? Like it's
Yes, yeah, it sounds like the game.
And that's the thing with Henry Cavill. That's what I wanted to earlier when I wanted to talk about him. Here's my chance, because that dude is a beautiful fucking nerd. I love him.
Yeah.
And like Henry Cavill, if you ever want to come on a podcast, by all freaking means, we will not talk Superman. Yeah, we'll talk nerdy stuff.
Unless you want to talk Superman. But
yeah, if he wants to talk Superman, that's fine. But like Henry Cavill, if you want to come on the show, you pick 3 movies, you let us know. We'll talk those movies. It'll be a lot of fun. Yes. But like he is a beautiful nerd. He plays, I think he plays D&D, but he is very into video games. You know, he's a gamer. He's got his own. Yeah. He had his YouTube episode that he put out where he was like building his own at-home computer. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Like I love him for that, and that's the thing is I feel like his acting for Geralt is so loyal because he knows the character really well.
Yeah.
And 100%. Like I think he's a perfect fucking choice.
In fact, I feel that you talked about him being loyal to the character, and I've heard that he also has to on set be the guy who's like, hey, this is how this world actually operates. And so like a lot of the loyalty in the script is due to Henry Cavill.
That's good.
Yeah,
because he knows it. He loves it, and so like, I think as much as I love Yennefer, the only things that were keeping me going rewatching were the scenes with Geralt. But with how the story's being told, his scenes are more episode of the week for at least the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stand it after a while.
So, but just as a reminder to you, since it's been so long, almost every single one of those episodes of the week end up having something that's important at the end.
Yeah, I remembered. It was not knowing the tale the first time watching it, it really does feel like we have a woven story over here. We have a continuing story right here with Ciri. And then Geralt is the monster of the week.
Right.
And it's just,
it does kind of feel that way. Especially that first episode. Because I feel like they did that first episode like a traditional pilot. And it's like, we're like, okay, we're going to tell a complete story in this first episode. Just in case Netflix doesn't like it. Maybe they could put it out as a special or something. That's what it feels like to me. But anyhow. You're going to try to swing at it maybe sometime?
Yeah, I'll definitely try to. There's a lot of shows on my plate right now that I got to somehow figure out how to put on. We'll hopefully be talking those in a month.
You just need 2 brains.
Yeah, instead of Doctor Who's 2 hearts, I need 2 brains.
Yeah.
I think my 1 brain is bad enough right now. I think I need actually half space in my brain. Like I need to crunch down on like all the inhibitions.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, there's too many projects that I like. When I have free time, I'm like, ooh, I want to do this. And I'm like, well, I could put a TV show in the background, but I want to be giving my all to this project. So then I just put on a musical album and listen to that while doing it. So like, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I do podcasts, is when I want to do something with my hands and eyes and have them tell me a story or something. Yeah. I was going to start talking about the podcasts I love, but they didn't ask me to do that. So...
But if you want us to, you can go to patreon.com/green and faceless.
or contact us. We should have like a fan email or something. I'll get that set up.
But did you have another pitch, or are we going into...
No, let's go. I mean, we kind of talked 20 minutes about The Witcher, so...
That's fine. I think it deserves it, honestly.
Yeah, it's a great show. Really good production value. And I feel like Amazon may have put a little less money into the Wheel of Time than Netflix
they were
did.
marketing it very hard.
Yeah.
They were marketing it very hard. It's just like, it's the new, like, it's our version of Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. It's going to be our big, high fantasy. And yeah, as you said, it's a little under par in regards to the production value.
Yeah. But it's the monsters, I think.
Yeah. Well, I love the Trollocs. I think the Trollocs are fucking really well done.
That's the ones.
Yeah.
The ones in particular that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, the CGI is kind of gross, but like if you read the books, it kind of is exactly what you expect from the books.
All right.
Like,
well, there you go.
Yeah, they're a little goofy, but at the same time, they're supposed to be a little sinister. So it's weird. So here is the Wheel of Time, at least the television version. I have read the first 3 books, which in and of itself is a feat because they're all like 600 to 700 pages.
Damn.
So,
and you started while we were watching this.
Yeah. And I've just been doing audiobooks, so it's very nice, but at the same time, each audiobook has been 24 hours long.
Holy hell.
Yeah, the next one, which I'm on wait for at the library, is 45 hours long, or maybe it was 42.
Holy hell.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to spend 2 days of my life basically to listen to the 4th book, and the library expects me to do it in 2 weeks. Come on, library, get your shit together.
It's an audiobook. I mean, you have a digital. You're not going to the physical library and picking it up. It's a digital copy. Just make it available. I don't understand.
I know.
Is it like
it's weird? It's really weird.
It might be like a copyright thing or something like that.
Yeah, I think it is. Like, it's got to be something weird. But when I get to it, I'm very excited for it because as I've been reading it, I've been loving them. They are a little like formulaic, but like it's whatever. They're really good story. The first one's a lot like Lord of the Rings, and then after that, because that's how he had to publish it. Robert Jordan's the novelist. It's hard to publish high fantasy. It's a very niche market.
Easier now, I'd say.
It's easier now, yeah. But I think this started. I can't remember when the first one was published. If it was in the 70s or the 80s.
Wow.
But yeah, it's like to do that, to publish a high fantasy and to make it huge, he had to make it a little bit like Lord of the Rings. So that first one, when you read it, has a lot of similarities to the first Lord of the Rings book.
And I feel like this first season of the show, you can feel that too.
Right, yeah.
Definitely.
It's an adventure to go do something.
Yes, it is a fantasy MacGuffin show.
Yeah. And he ended up writing 14 novels, 15 if you include the prequel. He wrote a prequel novel. So I'm going to have a long time reading this. It's going to take about a whole frickin' year. But it's going to be very exciting, and I really do enjoy it. The show's version is pretty similar for quite a bit. They are rushing it heavily, but we'll get into that. The first season involves Moiraine, who is an Aes Sedai. So I guess I should explain the magic structure first. That's probably the best way to go into Wheel of Time.
I agree, because I feel like they don't necessarily do the best job.
Yeah, they don't. So that's... Oh, do I want to give my cons up front? Because my 2 big cons is they don't really do a well job at explaining the world or showing you the world. They do show you the cities, and the cities all look beautiful.
They are pretty.
They don't give you a map.
No.
That pisses me off so much. Because Game of Thrones, their entire intro is a fucking map of the world. You know everything you need. You see it constantly. Every single episode, it reminds you of which cities are important.
Yeah, and it was so smart because it always highlighted the cities that the story for the episode was going to take place in.
Exactly.
Very smart.
Very smart. Really well done.
See a review of the theme song for Game of Thrones.
Right. It's one of the best, honestly. It really is. But... The problem is, Wheel of Time, I don't think ever shows you a map of the world. And it really starts to cause problems for me because I'm just like, I don't know where the fuck we're at. I don't know how long it took to get here. I don't know what's going on with the
You say
you
want to go to this place, but I don't know where that is in relation to this, so I don't know how urgently you need to be moving.
Exactly. And in the 14 weeks or whatever, it's not 14 weeks, but like the 14 days it's going to take you to get there, I don't feel that at all because you're just going to do it in a montage.
Right.
But the magic structure of Wheel of Time, there is the one true source, I guess. I'm going to explain this wrong. So like huge fans out there are going to start yelling and screaming. I'm just trying to do this quickly. There is the one true source of power, and from there flow 2 streams. There is the female stream and the male stream. I don't remember their names in the books. There's Saidar and Saidine. I don't know which one corresponds to which.
Okay.
I think Saidar is female stream. Saidine is male stream. Probably wrong. Yell at me in the comments. But the male stream was long ago corrupted by the Dark One, by the evil bad guy of the story. Ba'alzamon is his name.
I don't think they give his name in the show. That's interesting.
Ooh, yes, Ba'alzamon. A lot of it has like similar like Christian vibes, like Saidine. Almost sounds similar to Satan.
Sure.
Ba'alzamon.
And does make an appearance played by Fares.
And he long ago corrupted it to the point where the male stream, to where when men use the magic, when they try to tap into that magic, it will eventually make them go mad. It will make them go absolutely batshit and crazy to where they're like killing people, most often their loved ones and those near them. But then along came Luz Theron, whatever his last name is, Talamon, the dragon, and he killed the Dark One, or he defeated the Dark One. He didn't kill him, but he defeated the Dark One. Problem was, after defeating the Dark One, he went crazy because of the stream of magic and practically broke the world. He created he killed his family. He's called Kinslayer in the histories because he killed his family going mad. And in the shame, when the horror of realizing what he did when he woke up from his madness, because the Dark One, he likes to play games. He woke him up from his madness to show him that he had murdered his whole family. He created, I think it's called Dragon Mount. This is this big city, or it's a big mountain. I mean, he just he broke the world, and from where he was, where his body exploded, a mountain rose, kind of thing. Wow. And there's that was years and years and years and years ago, and in those many, many thousands of years since then, there have been men who would have the ability to touch the magic source. And they have, claimed to be the Dragon Reborn, that they are Luz Theron, whatever, come back to either break the world entirely or defeat the Dark One completely. Very, very poorly and inaccurately explained, but that is the basic summary is Moiraine, who is an Aes Sedai, one of the female magic users. They are a sect of only women. And there are many different groups in them. There are red Aes Sedai, blue Aes Sedai. The Reds, they really hate men. They're all against men.
Yes, they're kind of their military unit.
Yeah. And their specific job is to find men who can touch the magic source of Saidine or Saidar, whichever it is, and gentle them, which is remove their ability to do so. Remove their ability to touch magic and to do these crazy, magical, awesome things.
And that in itself makes you a certain kind of madness, a melancholic madness.
Yeah. It's like knowing, this is a very bad anecdote, and I'm sorry to heroin users, but it's like, when you get clean from heroin, knowing that the substance out there, but you don't want to touch it ever again.
Right.
Well, for them, they can't touch it ever again in the Wheel of Time. But it's similar to that, where it's just a beautiful thing to be able to touch this magical stream of power, and then knowing that exists and knowing you can never do so, it makes them go crazy again, or melancholy, as you said.
Yeah. So since you talked in depth about the magic, I did want to talk about a kind of a stereotype in fantasy film where there is. So this is how it goes sometimes. There is sometimes magic, sometimes something else, that only women have. And then there is one boy who can do it.
Yes.
Yes. So this kind of falls into that trope a little bit.
Kind
of. But I think that the fact that the magic, that there is the two streams and that one of them is corrupted, I think that is an interesting story, especially because men are the one. It was a man who corrupted the stream.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
and that's kind of like how he skirts that trope, is by making it's not only women who are magical. Everybody can be magical. It's just the male's version has been corrupted.
Right.
So it's like it's a slight skirting of the trope. Like I agree with you. It is a little similar to it, but
right. And
it does fall into it. I would mean.
And I know that, especially in our friend group, that some women are pretty tired about that trope, and I can understand that.
Oh, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it too. But
the female characters in this show are so good that at the very least, I'm able to look past it, and I think that it is skirted around, like you said.
That's one thing I like about the books is I kind of was worried that the female characters were boosted for the show's sake, and that's not true at all. There are a lot of very important and strong characters in the books. I do have an issue because a lot of near the end of the books, at least in the second and third ones, the three main female characters they talk about have in both books become damsels of distress at the end.
Right.
And I hate that. And the third one, they learn more and they are more powerful and are able to free themselves in a way. But it still was fucking annoying that it happened twice in a row.
Right.
But Moiraine, played by Rosamund Pike.
Rosamund Pike. Yeah, she's definitely the biggest name in this.
Yeah, definitely. And the summary I finally, God, it's so hard. There's so much to talk about with Wheel of Time to set it up. Right. That by the time we get to the summary, it feels like we've already been talking for fucking ever about this show.
Right.
But Rosamund Pike, Moiraine, she comes to the Two Rivers, a very small town in the very far outskirts of the map, I guess.
Who knows?
They don't really hear much. You know, like when wars happen, they hear about it like 20 years after the war finished. That's like that's of the way to describe them, I guess. Yeah, they're really far out there. And Moiraine comes there because she believes that the Dragon Reborn has been reborn in this town. And she's not a red Aes Sedai. She's not there to gentle the Dragon Reborn. She's blue Aes Sedai. And I don't know specifically what that means, but...
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. But she is there to kind of help him become the Dragon Reborn because she doesn't believe that he's going to break the world again. She believes he will save it.
Right, so...
Well, I should say they also.
Right, because it could be one of four people who... let's see if I can remember their names.
One of five.
One of five, but yeah, I was going to leave that out because she didn't... That was like kind of a later development, but whatever. We're going to talk about it.
So here's another thing, though. With the books, it is not at all in question who the Dragon Reborn is. It is very upfront in the very first book. So it was a surprise to me that the show bothered to make it a mystery.
I thought it was interesting, but I thought it did make it more interesting, especially if you didn't read the books and come into the show just to watch the show. The mystery is a good draw to it.
I don't know. I don't want to... Again, it's like giving all the power to the one white guy. But like it also steals his powerful moments. Sorry to spoil that the Dragon Reborn is a guy. But there's like 3 or 4 options still. So like it's not a spoiler for who the Dragon Reborn is. But he has so many good moments in the first book that just aren't in the show at all. And it's just I feel like it's just because they don't want to make him that powerful or whatever. But I'm just like, where's his fucking moments? Like, if he's gonna be this big thing, give him some good moments.
Yeah, it doesn't happen until like the last episode or 2.
Yeah,
it really doesn't.
It was sad.
So the prospects are Egwene, played by Madeline Madden, Rand, played by Joshua Stardowski,
and not a relation to Hayden Christensen, as I don't think he is.
He looks so much like he's the ginger Hayden Christensen. It's so true.
It really was. The whole time I was watching, I was like, Annie?
So you also have Perrin, played by Marcus Rutherford, Matt, played by Barney Harris. And
for the first season.
Oh, he's gone.
For whatever reason, they replaced him with someone who looks very similar to that guy. But I heard that it was friendly leaving. Like there wasn't like I didn't hear about any negatives for why he was leaving. But like,
well, I don't know what's going on with that. But I thought Barney Harris did a great job in the season.
I thought so too. I thought he was.
He's one of the more compelling characters, I thought.
Yeah, Perrin and Matt are my favorites in the book, and like I really enjoyed both of their interpretations in the show. Like,
yeah, there's definitely some interesting things with Perrin that I feel like they are waiting for the second season to jump into.
Yeah, they really didn't want to go much into him at all.
No. So I'm probably going to say this character's wrong, played by Zoe Robbins. She's the fifth possibility. She's a little bit older than the other four and is the mentor of Egwene. The character's name is Nynaeve.
Nynaeve,
thank you. And she is the wisdom of their town. And it's kind of, so she has already had some contact with the stream, but the way that the wisdoms work, they believe that they're just listening to it, whereas the Aes Sedai, they're like, no, it is listening to you. And I thought that was a pretty interesting distinction.
Yeah, it changes per town too. So like the closer you get to where the Aes Sedai are, to where their city is, Tarvalon, I can't remember. But the closer you get, the more the wisdoms become more like Aes Sedai, where it's just like they're not trained, but they are smarter about it.
Right.
She's so far out there that's how she views it, is that she's listening to this because she doesn't think that she's Aes Sedai. She just thinks she's a healer.
Right. And she has a grudge against the Aes Sedai as well, because her mentor was shooed away when she went to go and apply or whatever you do.
Well, the whole of Two Rivers and a lot of other places have grudges against Aes Sedai. Like that's part of the race issues in this story, because like as you said, with the elves and the humans and The Witcher, with the Wheel of Time, there's a lot of that with pretty much every race. Like, there's these traveling people that are kind of like looked upon and laughed at by everybody.
Right,
they're like nomadic
definitely
people.
Yeah, they're definitely like a representation of the Romani or the traveling Irish here.
Yeah, and then like the Aes Sedai themselves are hated by a lot of people, because a lot of people just like are very wary of them, or very wary of magic in general.
Right.
And there's also a group of people called the Children of the Light, who kind of like take pleasure in killing Aes Sedai. At least one of them does.
It is like their religion to hunt down the Aes Sedai. And they're like, paladins is the best I could come up with for what to call them. And this one particular guy, Padan Fain, I believe is the character's name, played by, is that right? Well,
Padan Fain, he's the,
was he the
traveling merchant?
Okay. Well, yes. He has some things to do with Matt's character. He was played by Johan Myers, and I thought it was an interesting character. I'm not sure what they're trying to do with him yet. They did something at the very end of the show.
Yeah, he'll be... Yeah, he seems like he's going to become... I mean, I know he's going to become more important, but like by the end of the show, they seem like they plan on doing more with him, thankfully.
So I might be thinking of Amon Valda, played by Abdul Salis.
I can't remember his name. I want to say it's Child Vilar?
Maybe Child Valda? Here, I'll keep on looking. Valda.
It might be Child Valda. I don't know. But he that character, while you're looking for him, that character is very interesting. He is kind of like a side villain for the first season. And he there's a moment where he comes across Perrin and Egwene, and there's some good moments there where he's like kind of torturing them to try to get information. But I like that episode as a whole kind of felt weak, so that felt like the best part of the episode.
Yeah.
But they don't want to go into Perrin's character deeply. And I don't also like what they did with Perrin's character at the beginning. The term is called fridging, where you create a female character just to kill the female character and lend to an emotional boost to a male character. And Perrin's character in the books doesn't have a wife. He is just...
That's such a big part of his story in this.
She's the fridge character. She was created just so Perrin would accidentally kill her in a fight, which would then lead to an emotional turmoil for him to boost his character, to develop his character. Well, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
I think it kind of sucks a little bit, but also it is something that, like you said, TV and movies have done for forever.
Right.
But
like,
I think
are they going to do anything with it?
Yeah. Because also they express that he has feelings for one of the other main characters. So
right. Who is dating another of the main characters. Yes. So it's just like,
it's kind of like so they could have this, just so they could have this love triangle thing. I'm not sure. But it was Eamon Valda, child.
Okay,
Valda.
Fabulous. And who was he? Who was the actor again?
His name was Abdul Salis, and I thought he was a very interesting character. But it doesn't seem like there's going to be any more of him.
I'm not sure. Like, it kind of seems like they left him off where there could be like a grudge thing that goes on, but I don't know because he could have also be out of the show forever. Who knows? But like, I did like his performance. I thought he was very sinister and kind of slimy feeling because of he was a little a little weird, you know. But I loved it. I also like Paddon Fane. I wish they had gone more into his character because he's supposed to be very similar to that, slimy and like
you only get this sense evil. That he helps out Matt a little bit. That's really what you get from his character.
Yeah, there's also I don't know, he wasn't in the show a lot. Paddon Fane, or sorry, not Jesus Christ, that's his name. Tom Maryland, that was the name. Tom Maryland was the guy they come across at the end who like gives them some help and like helps them run away from a fade. And he was like a traveling entertainer. A gleeman is what they're called in this show.
Like a bard type character.
Yeah. And he is huge in the books.
He's only
in the show they just had
he's in 2 episodes,
Yeah, the show he was just not there. He was one of the travelers with Moiraine and her we haven't talked about him yet, but Moraine's warder is named Lan.
Yes.
And he was one of the travelers with Lan, Moiraine, and the whole group.
Really?
And it's so weird that they just wrote him out completely, basically.
That is like, so
why?
Weird. Why even bring him in for that brief moment if you're not going to use him? But he was played by Alexander Willem, maybe? I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it. Apologize. But I thought he was a very interesting character, and I hope they do more with him.
I really do too, because he's one of my favorites.
They put a lot of weight in the scenes that he's in. I feel like in those scenes he's very important. He also helps out Matt a lot. Matt's interesting because he keeps on getting into trouble. He doesn't know how to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, Matt's the reckless one. Perrin is like he's a good, sturdy worker. He's very honest, very loyal. But also very quiet, and he's a tall, big guy. He doesn't, he's got to be careful in society so he doesn't hurt people because he's big. and then Rand is just kind of like your standard farm boy. He is a worker. He is stoic, but
he thinks he's stoic.
He goose off.
But he's really, really angry. Yeah.
And then Egwene is just lovely. I love Egwene, but she is like. I guess it's fine to say that Egwene and Rand are a thing. They are a romantic pairing, and she thought she was going to just become the wisdom of her town after Nynaeve. If Nynaeve passed or whatever, she would be the next. She was going to be like the apprentice to Nynaeve.
Yeah, she's apprenticing.
Yeah, and that's kind of her character is like. Once this whole journey begins, once they find out that one of them might be the Dragon Reborn, it becomes, this huge shift in her because she starts realizing, oh, I can be an Aes Sedai. It's like I have this magical ability, and so she's very excited about that. That's her character. She's super excited about learning to like what she can do, the power that she has, and that's kind of upsetting. Pretty much all the men in her life because Rand is just like, I don't want you to be an Aes Sedai. They don't marry.
Right. Yeah, it essentially broke them up. The wisdom. Actually, her being the wisdom, at least in the show, broke them up because the wisdom's supposed to be celibate. No, not celibate necessarily, but not supposed to be married. I had to put that in there because there's an instance with Zoe Robbins' character and Lan, played by Daniel Henney. I really liked Lan. But
Lan, yeah.
The relationship between Aes Sedai and Warders, I'm still a little confused.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like, I don't know if they're mentally connected, but like they are a pairing. You know, it's like Warders protect Aes Sedai, and Aes Sedai in turn grants them like, you know, stronger speed, stronger like strength. I guess I don't know. They're supposed to make them, you know, not more powerful, but you know they can protect them, they can heal them, that kind of stuff.
There's
and then like Warders themselves are like great fighters. Like they're the Aragon characters.
Yes, definitely. And he himself came from a faraway kingdom, and they do a really interesting episode that is pretty much all about that for half of it. And I thought that's a pretty interesting story that I want to see where it goes. Very much, as you said, an Aragorn type character.
yeah, because his character is almost, at least in that just general sense, because it's fair to say that he is a lost king of a kingdom that's the kingdoms no longer existent, but he was supposed to be the king of it. So it's very, very similar to Aragorn. The only difference is in the books, he's supposed to be incredibly stoic. Like, he is the stoic one. He never shows emotion. He just has resting bitch face nonstop. The show relaxed that a lot. They give him a lot of personality. He is still stoic. I'm not gonna deny. What was his name? Daniel Henney.
Daniel Henney. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a great job. I love his interpretation, and I like that he has more of a likable personality, because I do love his character in the books. But at the same time, his character is typically like kind of mean. Like,
yeah, he's definitely a lot nicer. He has a kindness to him in the show, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate his relationship with Moiraine, and I appreciate his relationship with Nynaeve, and I'm curious as to where that goes, because and I'm not gonna spoil anything by saying this, but the interaction between Moiraine and the other Aes Sedai, and including the leader, is very interesting. All the political stuff in there is very interesting. I feel like they could have just a whole show about that,
right?
But obviously that's not what the story is that they're adapting.
Yeah, that was what surprised me about the second and third books, because by the end of the first book, you get the acknowledgement that the individual that the book has been building up would be the Dragon Reborn is, he that individual acknowledges that they're the Dragon Reborn, and you kind of think, okay, we're gonna follow this character for the next 2 or 3 books. It goes heavier into the Aes Sedai in the second and third books. There's a lot where it's just like, we're not going to focus on this person for now. We're going to focus on Moiraine and what's going on here. Shit. And yeah, it really does a great job at building all that. And so I'm really hoping that they continue with that, because that was some of the more interesting stuff for me, was when they were doing the more political aspects of the show.
I thought that was, I feel like I got a little bit more into the show when they started talking about the different factions of the Aes Sedai, even though they don't, the detail is still missing for what exactly these different factions do.
Yeah, I think they had like one scene where Lan kind of like briefly explains it, where he's like, oh, well, the blue are interested in wisdom, and the green, they're interested in earth, kind of like earth binding, and the red, they hate men, and the white, they do this, and it's just, and like,
there's yellow ones, and there was a couple people in black robes. I don't fucking know, man. How many the fuck are
they? But I think that's it, because I'm coming back for season 2 because I'm loving the books. I'm enjoying the books. I want to see what they do with the show, and I hope in the next season that one of the things they try to do better is, like, I mean, with a television show, you need some exposition, and with a show like this, you need a lot of it. And I kind of hope they do better at explaining things.
Yes.
Because I still am lost as to what all of it means.
Are you ready for closing statements then?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of just like mixing that in here. Yeah. I give it, I'll give season 1 2.5 stars.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I think I'm enjoying the books far more. I'm blasting through them, so hopefully by the time the second season comes out, I'm like done with it. We'll find out.
There's like 14 of them, right?
Yeah, 14, and if I want to read the prequel, there's 15. And I guess the prequel, I haven't read it, so I don't know, but I guess the prequel has some of the hints at relationships that we saw blossom in the show, specifically between Moiraine and certain Aes Sedai individuals.
Cool.
They did one big decision with Moiraine and a certain Aes Sedai that I guess was a fan belief.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think fans were like, I thought Moiraine and this character fuck. And, you know, people were just like, well, I don't know about that. It's never mentioned in the books. And, well, the show was like, nah, you guys right. They fuck. And so that's another thing to call out, to give this show credit in the closing statement. The book series, one of the things people always mention, the main writer died before you could finish it. Robert Jordan, I think, died around the 11th or maybe the 12th book, and they were finished by Brandon Sanderson. I hope that's his right name. I think it's Brandon Sanderson, or maybe it's just Brandon.
That's a lot of books to add on.
Yeah, and he was originally given the outline for the final book, the last one. You know, Robert Jordan had brought him in because Robert Jordan knew he was dying. Brought him in and like outlined all of this, and you know, he's like, "This is how I want it to end." And then as Brandon was writing it, he realized, "Oh, this is too big for one book." And so he split it into 3. And Brandon, I hope his name's Brandon. I'm so sorry if it's not, but he is a consulting producer on the show.
Cool.
So that's one thing I want to credit this show is that they didn't just go out, buy the rights, and then just dive into it. They actually brought a good source of information to help with it. And for that, I do applaud them. I think they're rushing it. I think they went to way too much detail in the first season. Could have taken their time and really relaxed. Because they skipped whole characters. They skipped whole towns. They're kind of melding some characters, and like they're kind of taking like 2 or 3 characters and melding them into one character. You know, I think they can take their time. They don't need to rush through this. I know you don't want to make 14 seasons of a television show, but I think there's probably more later on that I'm hoping could be cut. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing it, but I still applaud them for doing it. It's a huge task, and I think that they did a decent job in the first season.
I do too. I think that the first season was enough for me to come back. I think more so than some of the other shows we've talked this year, but I also recognize that there's just some detail that's lacking, and I really hope they give it to us in the second one. Like you mentioned how the magic works at the very top of the episode, and they really just don't go into it. Like I think even they might have mentioned it when they do a certain flashback, a certain flashback scene. They do, I think, talk about it in a little bit more detail. But as far as you know, when you watch a majority of the show, magic is just supposed to be for women, and there's a couple of men who can touch it. Like, that's kind of how it feels in the show. And I think that explanation is worthy of putting in the show, because otherwise it's just that trope that we talked against.
Yeah, just get oh man, who's the blonde elf lady in Lord of the Rings that did the narration at the beginning?
Oh, Galadriel?
Galadriel, but who's the actress? Just get her to just narrate that explanation at the very beginning. We're golden.
That's funny. So I give it a full face. It's a good show. I just feel like it just needs more exposition, that's all. And I think maybe it's worth applauding the writers to try to let the audience figure it out themselves, but I feel like when you have a great source like 14 fucking novels, there's a lot of detail in there.
Yeah.
I
feel like I hate to say this, but like I think the way Game of Thrones did their exposition through sex, like I hate that. That's one of the reasons I haven't been able to actually watch all of Game of Thrones, is because those first 2 seasons are so saturated in sex, and I just it's not me. I don't want that when I watch television all the time. I'm sorry, but it's just it's the book can do it easily because it's like you're reading expositions. It's prose, But then, like, the show was like, how do we put in this exposition? Oh, we'll just have them have sex. And I feel like those, as much as I hate to say it, though, I feel like the exposition that is presented in Wheel of Times doesn't land because it's told in a pretty dry way at times. You know, it's just a character telling another character something. It's just like, oh, well, don't you see? Blah, blah, blah.
I'm sure that there is a sexy way to present the exposition without sex. I'm sure there is. And somebody will figure it out someday. So, I think that was probably our show.
I think so. I think you're right.
Okay. Well, that's it then.
I have been the Green Traveler from Gouache.
And I am the Faceless Leon. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. If you like the show, please show your support by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, follow, subscribe, wherever you might listen. We also now have a Patreon account. If you feel so inclined to support us in a financial manner, please become a patron by visiting patreon.com/greenandfaceless. You can also find more information about us on our Facebook account or on the Fiction Works 19 Instagram account. Thank you so much for listening.